John Mason watched as the hover sedan landed on the pad at Pinecrest Colony's visitor center. It had been 6 months since the Earth government set up this outpost on Epsilon Eridani B. Life was good for the 100 colonists who lived here. John came with the first group, bringing his daughter Lily. She had a rare condition that made her very sensitive to Earth's polluted air. The colony dome gave Lily a safe place to live. Her body could not control temperature well, but in the dome's steady climate, she was doing better than ever in her 12 years of life. "They're here," said Samantha, John's neighbor who worked with plants. "The new HOA people." John made a face. "I can't believe Earth Central is putting a homeowners association on a space colony." "They cut the budget," Samantha said. "They're giving colony management to private companies everywhere." The hover sedan door opened with a soft hiss. A tall woman with perfect blonde hair stepped out. Her suit looked like she had just put it on, not like she had been traveling for 3 weeks from Earth. She looked at the simple buildings with clear dislike. "Patricia Winters, Extraterrestrial Communities Management," she said without offering to shake hands. "I'm here to make this colony follow standard rules." John felt cold inside. Something about Patricia's eyes reminded him of the officials who had denied help for Lily back on Earth, the same ones who said his daughter's health was not their problem. He had no idea that in a few days Patricia Winters would be far more dangerous than any Earth official he had ever met. The next morning, John woke up to find a message on his tablet. There would be a meeting for all colonists that afternoon. Patricia Winters wanted to explain the new rules. "Dad, do I have to go?" Lily asked at breakfast. She was small for 12, with dark hair and bright eyes that missed nothing. "Yes, honey. We all need to hear what changes are coming," John said, trying to sound positive. Maybe it won't be so bad. But the meeting was worse than he expected. Patricia stood at the front of the community room with a large screen behind her. "Pinecrest Colony has been operating without proper structure," she began. "That ends today. I have new rules for everyone to follow." The list was long. No one could change the outside of their homes. Everyone had to be quiet after 8 o'clock. Gardens could only be a certain size. But the worst came last. "To save energy, the dome temperature will now be the same everywhere," Patricia said. "No more special settings for different areas." People started talking all at once. The farmers needed warm areas for some crops and cool areas for others. The scientists needed exact temperatures for their work. And John needed a stable temperature for Lily. He stood up. "Ms. Winters, some people here have medical needs. My daughter can't handle temperature changes. Her body doesn't adjust like most people's do." Patricia looked at John like he was dirt on her shoe. "The needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few, Mr. Mason. If your daughter needs special treatment, perhaps a frontier colony isn't the right place for her. We came here because Earth couldn't help her," John said, his voice getting louder. "The doctor said this controlled environment was her best chance." Patricia smiled, but her eyes stayed cold. "Not my problem. The new temperature rules start tomorrow. Meeting dismissed." As people filed out, many stopped to talk to John. Ellen from the medical center promised to check on Lily daily. Ben from engineering said he would try to find a way to keep Lily's room at the right temperature without Patricia knowing. "This isn't right," Samantha said as they walked home. "She can't just ignore medical needs." John nodded. "I'm going to call Earth Central tomorrow. There must be someone who can overrule her." That night, Lily had trouble sleeping. "Dad, what if they make it too cold?" "You know what happens when I get too cold." John sat on the edge of her bed. "I won't let that happen, Lily. I promise." He thought about what had happened the last time. Lily got too cold, her body had shut down. The doctors said she was lucky to survive. That was why they left Earth, to find a place where her condition could be managed. The next day, John tried to call Earth Central, but all communications were down for maintenance. He went to Patricia's office to argue his case again, but her assistant said she was too busy to see anyone. "I need to file a medical exemption," John insisted. The assistant handed him a form. "You can submit this, but Ms. Winters has to approve all exemptions personally." John filled out the form, explaining Lily's condition in detail. He attached her medical records and a letter from her doctor on Earth. But when he checked the status that evening, the request was marked denied. That night, the temperature in their home dropped 5 degrees. Not enough to hurt Lily, but a clear warning. John gave her extra blankets and promised to find a solution. The next day, John gathered with other concerned colonists. Ben had discovered something troubling. Patricia Winters doesn't work for Earth Central, he said. I hacked into her files. She works for Nexus Mining Corporation. They wanted this planet for a big mining operation, but Earth Central gave it to us for the colony instead. So why is she here? Asked Ellen. I think she wants to shut us down, Ben said. If the colony fails, Nexus can make a new bid for the planet. And people with medical needs would be the first to leave, Samantha realized. John's blood ran cold. Or the first to have accidents. He rushed home to check on Lily. She was in the colony school, which still had stable temperature controls. John used his emergency code to message her teacher. Keep Lily there until I come. As John hurried to the school, the colony alarm blared. Attention all residents, came the announcement in Patricia's voice. A dome integrity check requires all citizens to report to the central hub immediately. This is not a drill. John changed direction, heading for the central hub. He needed to find Samantha or Ben, to warn them this might be a trick. But when he arrived, he saw something that stopped him cold. Patricia was at the entrance with 2 men John had never seen before. They were checking names off a list, and they were separating people into 2 groups. John watched as they pulled. Aside Ellen, an older man with breathing problems, and a young researcher who used a mobility aid. All people with medical needs. Then he saw Lily being led in by her teacher. Patricia looked right at John and smiled. It was the smile of someone who knew she had won. John pushed through the crowd, determined to reach his daughter before Patricia could separate her from the others. He had to protect her. He had no proof yet, but his heart told him that Patricia Winters was planning something terrible, and he was right. John pushed through the crowd, trying to reach Lily before Patricia could get to her, but there were too many people in his way. By the time he got to the front, Patricia was already leading Lily toward a side door. What are you doing? John called out. Where are you taking my daughter? Patricia turned with a smile that didn't reach her eyes. Just a routine check, Mr. Mason. People with special needs require special processing. I'm going with her, John said, moving forward. The 2 men with Patricia stepped in front of him. They were much bigger than John, with hard faces and uniform jackets that said security, but didn't have the colony's logo. No one goes with them, one man said. Orders. It's okay, Dad, Lily called to him. She looked scared, but was trying to be brave. I'll see you soon. John watched helplessly as Patricia led Lily and 5 other people through the side door. It closed with a heavy click that sounded final. Inside the main room, people were confused. No one knew what this dome check was about. The colony's head engineer, a woman named Rita, looked concerned. There is no scheduled check today, she whispered to John when he found her. And I don't know those security men. John's worry grew. He tried to leave to find Lily, but the doors were locked. Please remain seated. Patricia's voice came over the speakers. The integrity check will take approximately 1 hour. John found Samantha and Ben in the crowd. We need to get out, he told them. Something is wrong. Ben nodded. I can hack the door lock, but I need a distraction. Samantha stood up at once. Hey, everyone, she shouted. Has anyone noticed the air feels thin? I think the oxygen levels are dropping. People began to murmur and look around nervously. Some started to cough. There's nothing wrong with the air, one of the security men said, but he looked uncertain. While everyone was focused on Samantha, Ben slipped over to the door panel and connected a small device to it. A few seconds later, the lock clicked open. Now, he whispered to John. John made his way to the door as quietly as possible. Once outside, he hesitated. Where would Patricia have taken Lily and the others? Try the medical center first, Ben suggested, joining him. That would make sense for people with health issues. They ran to the medical center, but it was empty. John was getting desperate when his tablet buzzed. A message from an unknown sender. Airlock 5. Hurry. John's blood went cold. Airlock 5 was in an unfinished part of the dome. It was used for construction and didn't have the same temperature controls as the rest of the colony. "We need to get to Airlock 5 now," John told Ben. They ran through the corridors, passing no one. The colony felt empty and silent. When they reached the airlock section, John saw the temperature display on the wall. 15 degrees Celsius. Freezing. The door to Airlock 5 was locked with a code panel. Ben immediately began working on it with his device. "Can you open it?" John asked, his heart pounding. "I'm trying," Ben said, "but it's a different system than the other doors." John paced back and forth. Then he heard it, a faint knocking from inside the airlock. Someone was in there. "Hurry, Ben." "Got it," Ben exclaimed as the panel turned green. The door slid open, releasing a blast of freezing air. John rushed in and gasped at what he saw. Lily and the other people with health problems were huddled together on the floor. An older man wasn't moving. Ellen was trying to help a young woman who was shaking badly. And Lily's lips were blue, her face pale as snow. She looked up at John with eyes that were struggling to stay open. "Dad?" she whispered, her voice barely audible. John grabbed her at once, lifting her in his arms. Her body was ice cold. "Get the others," he told Ben. "We need to get them warm now." Ben helped Ellen get the others to their feet. The older man groaned as they moved him. He was alive but barely. They carried everyone to the nearest residential section. The doors there were unlocked. They laid everyone on couches and beds, covering them with blankets. "The medical supplies are locked," Ellen said. She was a nurse and knew what to do. "We need warming packs and fluids." John held Lily close, trying to warm her with his own body. Her breathing was shallow, her skin like ice. "Ben, can you get into the medical storage?" John asked. Ben nodded. "I'll try, but we need to be careful. Patricia and her men will be looking for us." While Ben went for supplies, John kept holding Lily. "Stay with me, sweetheart," he whispered. "Stay with me." Lily opened her eyes slightly. "She said we were weak." She stuttered through blue lips. "She said the key colony had no room for people like us." John's fear began to mix with anger. "You're the strongest person I know, Lily, and this is our home." Ben returned with Ellen's medical kit and warming packs. They placed the packs on Lily and the others. Ellen inserted IVs to give them warm fluids. "This will help," she said, "but we need to be careful not to warm them too quickly. It can cause shock." As they worked, Samantha slipped into the room. "Everyone's looking for you," she said. "Patricia told them you kidnapped the special needs group during the alarm." "What?" John couldn't believe it. "She locked them in a freezing airlock. Lily was turning blue when we found her." "I know," Samantha said. "But Patricia controls the communications. She's telling everyone her own story." John looked down at Lily. Her color was improving slightly, but she was still too cold, still in danger. "We need proof," he said, "and we need to warn the rest of the colony about what Patricia is really doing here." Ben held up his tablet. "I downloaded something from the airlock controls. There's a log of who entered the commands to lock it and set the temperature so low. Patricia's name will be on it," John said. "Actually, no," Ben replied. "The log shows it was your code, John. She framed you." John felt sick. No wonder Patricia was telling everyone he had kidnapped the group. She had planned this carefully. "The other colonists will never believe I would hurt Lily," he said. "Some won't," Samantha agreed. "But some might. Especially if Patricia keeps control of what information they get." Lily stirred in John's arms. Her eyes opened wider now, more alert. "Dad," she said, her voice stronger. "The camera." "What camera, honey?" John asked. "In the airlock. Patricia set up a camera before she left us. She said she wanted to record what happens to weak people." Ben was already checking his tablet. "If there's camera footage, I can find it." For the first time since the alarm had sounded, John felt a spark of hope. If they had proof of what Patricia had done, they could show the truth to everyone. But first, they had to keep Lily and the others safe. And they had to figure out Why Patricia Winters wanted to hurt the most vulnerable people in the colony. Ben worked fast on his tablet, his fingers flying over the screen. I found it, he said after a few minutes. There is a camera feed from Airlock 5, and it's saved to the main system. John looked over his shoulder at the video. It showed Patricia, leading Lily and the others into the airlock. She was smiling as she spoke to them. Turn up the sound, John said. Patricia's voice came through clearly. This is what happens to people who don't belong in a frontier colony. Weak links break the chain. I'll be back in 3 hours to document the results for my report to Nexus Mining. Then she walked out, sealed the door, and set the temperature controls to drop rapidly. She was going to kill them, Samantha whispered, her face pale, and make it look like an accident, or blame you. We need to show this to everyone, John said. Can you send it to all the tablets in the colony? Ben shook his head. Patricia has locked down the communication system, but I can get it to the main screen in the community center where everyone is still gathered. Ellen checked on Lily and the others. They're warming up, but they need proper medical care, especially Mr. Harris. She nodded toward the older man who was still barely conscious. I'll get them to a safe place, Samantha offered. My lab in the agriculture dome has heating and supplies, and Patricia doesn't have access to it yet. John hesitated, not wanting to leave Lily. Go, Dad, Lily said. Her color was better, but she was still wrapped in blankets and warming packs. Show everyone what she did. I'll be okay with Samantha. John kissed her forehead. I'll come find you as soon as I can. John and Ben made their way carefully through the corridors, avoiding the security men who were searching for them. They reached a service tunnel that led to the community center's control room. Once I send this video to the main screen, Patricia will know where we are, Ben warned. We'll have to move fast. Do it, John said. Ben connected his tablet to the control panel and pressed a few buttons. It's done. The video is playing now. Through a small window, they could see the community center. The colonists were watching the big screen with shock on their faces. The video showed Patricia leaving Lily and the others in the freezing airlock, her cruel words echoing in the room. Patricia stood at the front, her face turning from confusion to rage. She grabbed a microphone. This is fake, she shouted. Mason created this video to cover up what he did. But the colonists weren't listening. Many were standing up, moving toward Patricia with angry faces. The two security men tried to hold them back, but there were too many people. John and Ben slipped into the room. Rita, the head engineer, saw them and rushed over. John, what happened? Is Lily okay? She's safe now, John said. But she and the others need medical help. Patricia locked them in the airlock and dropped the temperature. She meant to kill them. But why? Rita asked. Why would she do that? Because she works for Nexus Mining, not Earth Central, Ben explained. They want this planet for mining, but they can't have it while our colony is here. She was trying to make the colony fail by getting rid of the most vulnerable people first. The colonists had surrounded Patricia and her security men. They weren't violent, but they were angry and wouldn't let Patricia leave. A man named Frank, who led the colony's small security team, pushed through the crowd. Step aside, he ordered. Patricia Winters, you're under arrest for attempted murder. Patricia laughed, though her face showed fear. You can't arrest me, I'm in charge here. Not anymore, said a new voice. Everyone turned to see a woman standing in the doorway. She wore an Earth Central uniform with commander stripes. Several official security officers stood behind her. Commander Laura Wells, Earth Central Oversight, she announced. We received a distress signal from this colony 6 hours ago. John stepped forward. Commander, Patricia Winters tried to kill my daughter and 5 other people by locking them in a freezing airlock. She works for Nexus Mining and has been trying to sabotage our colony. Commander Wells nodded. We know. We've been investigating Nexus for months. They've tried this on other colonies too, sending in fake officials to cause problems so they can take over. The Earth Central security officers moved in and took Patricia and her men into custody. Is there a doctor here? John asked urgently. There are people who need medical help. We brought a medical team, Commander Wells said. Take us to them. John led the commander and the medical team to Samantha's lab. Lily was sitting up looking much better, though still wrapped in blankets. The others were improving too, except for Mr. Harris, who was still very weak. The Earth Central doctors went to work at once, checking everyone and giving them medicine. One doctor came to speak to John. "Your daughter will be fine," she said. "Her body temperature is almost back to normal, but she should rest for a few days." John felt tears of relief in his eyes. "Thank you." Commander Wells was looking at her tablet, reading reports. According to these records, Patricia Winters has been systematically changing the colony's rules to make life harder for anyone with special needs. She even altered the medical supply inventory to hide certain medications. "She wanted us to leave," John said, "or die trying to stay." "Well, she failed," Commander Wells said firmly, "and Nexus Mining will face serious charges for what they tried to do here." Later that evening, John sat beside Lily's bed in their home. The temperature was perfect again. Ben had restored all the original settings. "How are you feeling, sweetheart?" John asked. "Better," Lily said with a small smile. "Not cold anymore." John held her hand. "I was so scared when I saw you in that airlock. You were turning blue." "I was scared too," Lily admitted. "But I knew you would come. You always do." "Patricia was wrong, you know," John said, "about you being weak. You're the strongest person I know." Lily squeezed his hand. "The others helped me. We huddled together to stay warm. Ellen told us stories to keep us awake." John nodded. In the worst moment, the people Patricia had called weak had worked together to survive. Commander Wells came to visit them the next morning. "I have news," she said. "Earth Central is sending a permanent oversight team to help the colony, and they're upgrading your medical facilities with the latest equipment." "That's wonderful," John said. "Thank you." "There's more," the commander continued. "They want you to be part of a special committee to create guidelines for colony accessibility, to make sure what happened here never happens anywhere else." John looked at Lily, who was smiling widely now. "We'd be honored," he said. As Commander Wells left, John thought about how Patricia had tried to use rules and regulations to hurt people. But now those same tools, rules and guidelines, would be used to protect them instead. Sometimes, John realized, rules were like the dome that protected their colony. They could keep danger out, but only if the right people made them. 3 weeks passed since the day Patricia tried to hurt Lily and the others. Life in the colony was getting back to normal, but better than before. The Earth Central team had brought new supplies and equipment. They fixed the dome system so everyone could have the temperature they needed in their homes. John and Lily were having breakfast when their door chimed. It was Samantha, looking worried. "Have you seen the news?" she asked, holding up her tablet. "Nexus Mining got out of trouble." John took the tablet and read the message. It said that Nexus Mining had blamed everything on Patricia. They claimed she acted alone, without their knowledge. The company paid a small fine, but faced no serious punishment. "This isn't right," John said. "They tried to destroy our colony." "There's more," Samantha said. "Commander Wells is leaving today. Earth Central is sending someone new to run things." John felt uneasy. "Do we know who?" "Someone named Victor Grant. He's arriving this afternoon." After Samantha left, John tried to focus on his work, but he kept thinking about the news. He didn't trust Nexus Mining, and he worried about this new person coming to the colony. "Dad, are we going to be okay?" Lily asked that evening. She was better now, back to her normal self, but the memory of the freezing airlock still scared her. "Yes, sweetheart," John promised. "I won't let anything bad happen to you again." The next day, everyone gathered in the community center to meet Victor Grant. John stood near the back, watching carefully. Grant was a tall man with gray hair and a serious face. He didn't smile much as Commander Wells introduced him. "Mr. Grant will oversee colony operations for the next 6 months," she explained. "He has experience with many frontier settlements." When Commander Wells finished speaking, Grant stepped forward. "Thank you for your welcome," he said in a deep voice. "I know this colony has faced challenges recently. My job is to ensure nothing like that happens again." His words sounded good, but something about Grant made John nervous. Maybe it was the way he looked at the colonists, like he was judging them, Or maybe it was just that John had learned to be careful about new authority figures. After the meeting, John went to say goodbye to Commander Wells. She was packing her things to return to Earth. "I don't trust Grant," John admitted to her. "Something feels wrong." Commander Wells looked around to make sure no one could hear them. "You have good instincts, John. Keep them sharp. Earth Central chose Grant, but I didn't recommend him." "What do you mean?" John asked. "I can't say more," she replied quietly. "Just watch him carefully. And if anything seems wrong, use this." She handed him a small device. "It's a direct link to my office on Earth. Not even Grant can block it." After Commander Wells left, things changed slowly in the colony. At first, Grant seemed to be doing a good job. He fixed problems and listened to people's concerns. But then new rules started to appear. All colonists must register their medical conditions, one rule said. Another required people to get permission before visiting certain parts of the colony. A third rule said all communications with Earth had to go through Grant's office. "These rules are a lot like what Patricia tried to do," Ben said when he, John, and Samantha met to talk about it. "Just less obvious." "I think Grant is connected to Nexus Mining," Samantha said. "I saw him talking to someone on a private channel. The screen showed the Nexus logo." John thought about Commander Wells' warning. "We need proof before we can accuse him of anything." "I can try to hack into his files," Ben offered. "Be careful," John warned. "If he catches you, he could have you sent back to Earth." The next day, Lily came home from school looking upset. "What's wrong?" John asked. "Mr. Grant came to our class today," she said. "He talked about how the colony needs strong people to survive. He said some people might be better off on Earth, where there are more resources for their special situations." He was looking at me when he said it. John felt cold anger rising inside him. This was too similar to what Patricia had said. "Did he say anything else?" Lily nodded. "He's starting a new program. People with medical needs have to have weekly checkups, and we have to wear these." She showed John a small device like a bracelet. "It tracks our location and our health." John looked at the device but didn't touch it. "Did everyone get one?" "No, just the kids with medical records. There are 5 of us." That night, John couldn't sleep. He kept thinking about the tracking devices. Why would Grant want to monitor certain kids? What was he planning? In the morning, John met with Ellen from the medical center. "Can you check Lily's tracking device?" he asked. "I want to know exactly what it does." Ellen examined the device carefully. "It does track location," she confirmed, "but it also does something else. There's a small chamber here that could hold medicine, or something worse." John's worry turned to fear. "Can you remove it without damaging it?" "Yes, but Grant will know if Lily isn't wearing it." "I have an idea about that," John said. He went to find Ben and explained the situation. Ben looked at the device and frowned. "This is serious technology," he said. "Much more advanced than anything else in the colony. I think I can make a fake one that sends the same signals, but I need time." While Ben worked on the fake device, John went to see Rita, the head engineer. "Can you check something for me?" he asked. "The temperature controls for the school and the kids' homes, especially for the 5 children with medical conditions." Rita looked confused but agreed to help. An hour later, she called John with alarming news. "The temperature controls have been tampered with," she said. "They're set to drop very low tonight, but only in certain rooms, the bedrooms of those 5 children." John felt sick. "Can you stop it?" "I already did," Rita said. "But John, this was a deliberate attack. Someone programmed the system to make those rooms freezing cold at 2 in the morning, when the kids would be asleep." "Grant," John said, his voice hard. "He's trying to finish what Patricia started." John rushed to find Samantha and Ben. They needed to act fast before Grant realized his plan had been discovered. "We need to warn everyone," Samantha said. "Especially the parents of those children. And we need proof that Grant is working with Nexus," John added. "Something that Earth Central can't ignore." Ben held up his tablet. "I think I found it. Grant has been sending reports to someone at Nexus. They detail everything about the colony, including which people he considers problems to be eliminated. John looked at the list of names. Lily's was at the top. "We have everything we need," he said. "Now we just have to stop him before he tries again." But as they left Ben's workshop, they saw Grant walking toward them with 2 security officers. His face was cold and angry. "John Mason," he said, "you're interfering with colony operations. These officers will escort you to the holding cell until the next Earth transport arrives." John realized Grant must have discovered that his plan for the temperature drop had been stopped. Now he was moving to get rid of anyone who might stand in his way. And John knew that once he was locked up, Lily and the others would be in danger again. John looked at the security officers standing behind Grant. He recognized them as good people who had been part of the colony from the beginning. They didn't know what Grant was really doing. "Before you take me anywhere," John said calmly, "I think everyone should see this." He nodded to Ben, who held up his tablet. "What's that?" Grant demanded, reaching for the device. Ben pressed a button, and suddenly Grant's voice filled the corridor from the speakers in the walls. It was a recording of Grant talking to someone at Nexus Mining. "Phase 2 is proceeding as planned," Grant's voice said. "The tracking devices are in place. Tonight's temperature drop will eliminate the 5 problem cases. After that, we can begin removing the other undesirables. Nexus Mining will have this planet within 6 months, just as we agreed." The security officers stepped back from Grant, looking shocked. One of them, a woman named Maya, put her hand on her weapon. "Is this true?" she asked Grant. "Were you planning to hurt those children?" Grant's face twisted with anger. "You don't understand. This colony is taking up valuable mining space. Nexus has the right to this planet. Those children are weak links holding back progress." "Those children are our future," John said, "and this colony is our home." Maya nodded to the other security officer, and they moved to stand beside John instead of Grant. "Victor Grant, you're under arrest for conspiracy to commit murder," Maya said, her voice firm. Grant laughed. "You can't arrest me. I'm in charge here." "Not anymore," said a new voice. Everyone turned to see Lily standing at the end of the corridor. She wasn't alone. Behind her were all the colonists, dozens of people, all watching with angry faces. And at the front with Lily stood Commander Wells. "Commander!" John was surprised. "I thought you left for Earth." "I was suspicious of Grant from the start," Commander Wells explained, walking forward. "So I stayed close by, on the supply ship in orbit. When Lily contacted me using your emergency link, I came back immediately." "Lily contacted you?" John looked at his daughter with pride. Lily nodded. "When Rita told us about the temperature controls, I knew we needed help. I remembered the device Commander Wells gave you." Grant looked around frantically, realizing he was trapped. Suddenly, he pulled out a small controller from his pocket. "Stay back," he shouted. "This can activate the tracking devices remotely. They're not just trackers. They contain a toxin that can be released with one press of this button." Everyone froze. John looked at Lily in horror, thinking of the device on her wrist, but Lily smiled. "It won't work," she said confidently. "None of us are wearing the real devices anymore. Ben made fake ones for all of us." Grant's face went pale. He pressed the button desperately, but nothing happened. "It's over, Grant," Commander Wells said. "Earth Central has all the evidence we need. Nexus Mining's license is being revoked, and you'll face charges for attempted murder." The security officers took Grant away. As he passed John, he spat out one last threat. "This isn't over. Nexus has people everywhere. They'll try again." "Maybe they will," John replied, "but now we know to be ready." Later that day, the colonists gathered in the community center again, but this time the mood was very different. Commander Wells stood at the front with John and the other members of the Colony Council. "Earth Central has reviewed everything that happened here," she announced. "They've made some important decisions. First, Pinecrest Colony is now officially self-governing. You'll elect your own leaders and make your own rules." The colonists cheered and clapped. Second, Nexus Mining has lost all rights to this planet. The resources here belong to the colony now. You can decide how to use them wisely. More cheers filled the room. And finally, Commander Wells continued, Earth Central wants to make Pinecrest a model for inclusive colonies. They're providing funds to upgrade your facilities to be fully accessible for everyone, regardless of their medical needs. John felt Lily squeeze his hand. Her eyes were bright with happy tears. The next weeks were busy ones for the colony. They held elections for a new council. John was chosen to lead it, with Samantha, Ben, Rita, and Ellen serving with him. Their first act was to create a Bill of Rights for all colonists, with special protections for those with medical needs. Lily and the other children helped design new spaces in the colony, places where everyone could play and learn together, regardless of their abilities. The tracking devices were destroyed and the temperature controls were fixed so that each home could be set exactly right for the people who lived there. One evening, John found Lily sitting by the window in their home, looking up at the stars. The colony dome was clear at night, allowing them to see the beautiful sky of their new world. "What are you thinking about?" John asked, sitting beside her. "I was thinking about Patricia and Grant," Lily said. "They thought people like me were weak and didn't belong here." John put his arm around her shoulders. "They were wrong." Lily nodded. "I know. When it was so cold in that airlock, I was the one who kept everyone talking and awake. Ellen said that's what saved Mr. Harris, that I wouldn't let him fall asleep." "You're one of the strongest people in this colony," John said proudly. "Not because I'm special," Lily replied thoughtfully, "but because I know how to ask for help when I need it."
"And how to give help when others need it. That's real strength, isn't it?" John nodded, thinking about how the colony had come together to protect its most vulnerable members. How they had all become stronger by looking out for each other. A month
later, a monument was placed in the center of the colony. It wasn't big or fancy, just a simple stone with words carved into it. "Our differences make us stronger. Our care for each other makes us unbeatable." The colony continued to grow and thrive. More people came from Earth, including many with medical needs who couldn't find good care on their home planet. Pinecrest became famous as a place where everyone was welcome and everyone contributed. As for Nexus Mining, they never tried to take over the colony again. The story of what had happened, how they had tried to hurt children and failed, spread throughout the galaxy. Other colonies learned from Pinecrest's experience and created their own protections. Years later, when Lily had grown up and become a doctor, she would tell new arrivals the story of how Patricia had locked her in the snow, how she had been turning blue with cold, but she always ended the story the same way. "They thought our differences made us weak, but they were wrong. Our differences made us strong, and our strength made us free." And John, listening to his daughter tell the story, would remember that terrible day and the good that had come from it. How a colony of ordinary people had stood up against those who would harm the vulnerable. How they had built something remarkable, a true home among the stars where everyone belonged.